Harvey Horseradish had never been fond of paperwork, but this was something else entirely. The customs station at the edge of the Theta Crucible Nebula looked less like an office and more like a demented circus. Neon banners flashed in indecipherable glyphs, and beings of every color and configuration milled around, arguing about visa requirements and quarantine rules for the more suspicious tentacled flora. Harvey held the slip of paper in his hand, his knuckles whitening as he glanced at the question one more time. How many sides are on an octagon cube? He'd encountered a few cosmic riddles before. Teclan crosswords, the 12 questions of Quantum Sergeant Marduk, even the double-negative logic mazes of the eighth-dimensional interrogators. But this one had the acrid scent of kaiju mathematics, a subject Harvey had never trusted but respected with the same grudging awe as one does a sleeping volcano. He hesitated only a moment. There was no room for self-doubt at a kaiju checkpoint, let alone at their most notorious gateway. So he wrote 256, flourishing the numbers with an implicit confidence that came only from years of meditating with the highest order of Tibetan monks, the sort who could levitate biscuits and contemplate paradoxes without blinking. He slid the slip back across the jelly-like desk to the customs officer. The officer, whose uniform seemed to flicker between solid and vapor at half-second intervals, glanced at the answer. He didn't say a word at first, but his wide, lamprey-like mouth twitched at the corners, and suddenly a short, snorting sound burst from him, a noise that suggested he was either barely containing an explosion of laughter or desperately trying to eject a cosmic furball from his throat. A second officer, whose eyes operated on independent telescoping stalks, glided over wordlessly and peered at the paper. Then a third. By the time the fifth arrived, it appeared the entire customs department had abandoned their posts to indulge in this new form of entertainment. Each time one saw the number, 256, they reacted the same, snorted suppressed giggles, and gave Harvey a peculiar look, somewhere between admiration and pity. Harvey stood his ground, resisting the urge to fidget. He'd faced kaiju lords in battle, outwitted the Medusan accountants of Ix, and once won a staring contest with an Argaxian basilisk by simply not having any eyes open at all. If there was one thing he knew, it was how to trust the Force, and also how to keep a straight face when everyone else was losing theirs. The head customs officer finally cleared his throat, or perhaps two of them. It was difficult to tell with all the overlapping organs. "Mr. Horseradish," he said at length, "do you wish to amend your answer?"
Number U-256 is the only possible answer, given the scalar quantum bonding inherent in a kaiju-modeled octagon cube.
A hush fell. A dozen alien eyes fixed on him, squinting, twinkling with curiosity. The head officer tapped his foot, webbed, suctioned, and apparently prehensile. He rumbled, "Would you care to show your work?" This, Harvey realized, was not only a test of knowledge, but of performance. He squared his shoulders and projected his voice with Jedi assurance.
Well, in the classical sense, an octagon has 8 sides. A cube, by conventional mathematics, has 6 faces, each face itself a square with 4 edges. But in kaiju math, we employ a different system, the quantum scalar bonding effect, or QSBE,
he said, enunciating each acronym with practiced gravity.
This means that any ordinary cube binding with an octagon under quantum conditions multiplies properties, the 4 sides of the cube.
The crowd tittered.
Or rather, the 4 properties of spatial expansion are modulated by 64, the scalar constant in octagonal quantum formulations.
He let the number hang in the air, heavy as stardust.
Thus, 4 times 64 gives us 256. Only then does an octagon cube become topologically valid for passage through the kaiju stargate, as confirmed by Rule 9.04 subsection zeta.
The customs officers exchanged glances, their faces lighting with a new measure of respect. If not for Harvey, then for the effort invested in crafting this explanation on the spot. Correct, the head officer announced, voice booming. Jedi passage authorized. A sigh rippled through the crowd. Some looked disappointed, others outright relieved that the formality of the riddle had not trapped this human in an endless loop of denied entry. Harvey, however, detected movement just behind him. Something tall and robed, its movements almost reptilian, approached with a rustle of silken layers.
Exceptional.
The newcomer said, its syllables rolling like smooth pebbles in a riverbed.
No outsider has solved the Octagon cube riddle in nearly 6 galactic cycles.
Harvey dipped his head modestly. The customs officers immediately bowed as Xenu, High Magistrate of Extra-Dimensional Travel, gestured for Harvey to follow. They moved through corridors that flickered between colors not in any human spectrum, past gravity wells and shimmering opalescent portals.
I aim to please, Master Xenu.
You understand, of course, Xenu mused as they walked, that the riddle's purpose is not merely to test mathematical agility, but to confirm insight, flexibility, and humility in the face of kaiju logic, which is always more convoluted than it first appears.
That's why I gave the answer I did. To be honest, I almost added a footnote about hyperdimensional collapse, but I thought that might be showing off.
Xenu slapped the air jovially. A movement Harvey guessed was as close as the being came to laughter.
Good instincts. You'll need them where you're headed.
They reached the gateway. Harvey gazed at the shimmering arch, feeling the peculiar calm that always presaged the unknown. The customs officers, still snorting and murmuring in subdued awe, watched as he stepped forward.
May your force be attuned, Harvey Horseradish, and may you never run out of quantum chalk.
With a final glance at the puzzle-loving, giggling customs crew, Harvey stepped into the gateway, already readying his mind for whatever new riddles awaited in the next dimension. After all, when kaiju math was involved, he'd learned long ago, expect the unexpected and always, always carry a spare pencil.